What if I told you 80% of amateur excavations fail these 3 critical checks? Today, I'm revealing the forbidden techniques that could save your next project from disaster. Host, I'm Aklalu, and let me tell you, I've seen more botched excavations than a plumber at a chili cook-off. We're talking craters that'd make the Grand Canyon blush, trenches collapsing faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. But in the next 10 minutes, I'm gonna transform you from a bumbling beginner to an excavation expert. So smash that like button, grab your hard hat, and let's dive deep. You think laying out an excavation is just about drawing a straight line? Think again, my friend. Most YouTube tutorials, they'll have you believe it's as simple as grabbing some spray paint and going to town. But let me tell you, that's a one-way ticket to a lopsided foundation, or worse, hitting something you really shouldn't be hitting. See, the pros, we don't just eyeball it, we use a little something called string lining, and no, I'm not talking about a fishing expedition. This involves precisely setting up strings across your excavation area, using batter boards and a level to ensure absolute accuracy. This ain't just about aesthetics, folks, it's about structural integrity and avoiding costly mistakes down the line. You gotta treat your layout like it's the Mona Lisa of construction, with every line and angle meticulously planned, and don't even get me started on those jokers who forget to factor in the slope. Listen, gravity's not your friend in excavation, it's the guy at the party who keeps spilling his drink. You gotta account for proper drainage and soil stability. So ditch the spray paint and embrace the string line, my friend. Your back, your wallet, and your sanity will thank me later. Alright, let's talk benchmarks, the unsung heroes of excavation. Now most folks, they'll hammer in a single stake and call it a day. But that's like relying on a single parachute when you're skydiving. Risky business, my friend. See, the pros, we use a little trick called double benchmarking. We set not 1 but 2 reference points, a primary and a backup. Why? Because things happen. Stakes get bumped, boards shift, and the last thing you want is to be caught with your pants down, or, in this case, your excavation depth out of whack. Think of it like this. Your primary benchmark is your first line of defense, your trusty sidekick. But your backup benchmark, that's your insurance policy, your get-out-of-jail-free card. It's there to keep you honest, to make sure your excavation stays true to plan, even when the unexpected throws you a curveball. This ain't about being overly cautious, it's about being smart. Because in the world of excavation, precision is king, and a little redundancy can save you a whole lot of headache, and potentially a whole lot of money. Now I know what you're thinking. Time to fire up the excavator and move some dirt. Hold your horses, cowboy. Before you go full throttle, there's a few things you gotta know about these mechanical beasts. Things they don't teach you in the operator's manual. First off, those levers and pedals, they ain't toys. One wrong move and you can turn a precision instrument into a wrecking ball faster than you can say OSHA violation. I'm talking about gouging the ground, damaging utilities, even flipping the whole darn machine. Not pretty, my friend. That's why the pros, we treat these machines with respect. We start slow, feeling out the controls, understanding how the hydraulics respond. It's like learning to dance with a partner twice your size. You gotta be smooth, you gotta be patient, and you gotta know when to lead and when to follow. And speaking of leading, let's talk about bucket control. See that amateur over there, bucket wobbling like a jelly donut? Now look at the pro, smooth as silk. That's called feathering, using subtle adjustments to maintain constant hydraulic pressure, resulting in a clean, precise dig. It takes practice, but trust me, it's the difference between looking like a pro and, well, let's just say it ain't pretty. Alright, let's talk about something that'll make your blood run cold hitting buried utilities. This ain't just about a busted pipe or a power outage, folks. This is about serious injury, even death. And it happens more often than you think. Now I know what you're thinking. Just call 811 before you dig. Problem solved. Well, here's the dirty little secret. Those utility markings, they ain't always accurate. Pipes shift, records get lost, and sometimes, well, let's just say human error rears its ugly head. That's why the pros, we treat every excavation like a minefield. We use a combination of our own senses and specialized tools to detect what lies beneath. We're talking ground-penetrating radar, electromagnetic locators, even just plain old listening for the telltale hum of a live wire. And here's a little secret they don't teach you in school. Look for subtle clues. A patch of discolored grass, a slight depression in the ground, even the smell of gas. These can all be signs of buried danger. You know what separates the amateurs from the pros in excavation? It ain't just about the equipment or the techniques, it's about the finesse, the artistry of moving dirt. It's about achieving that perfect dig, the kind that makes other contractors stop and stare in awe. So, what's the secret? Well, it's a combination of things. It's about understanding your machine, knowing how to use its weight and power to your advantage. It's about reading the soil, anticipating how it will react to your touch. And it's about mastering those subtle movements, those delicate adjustments that make all the difference. Watch a pro operate an excavator, and you'll see what I mean. The bucket glides through the earth, effortlessly scooping up just the right amount of material. There's no jerking, no hesitation, just a smooth, fluid motion that's almost hypnotic to watch. Let's talk about water, the arch nemesis of excavation. See, water and dirt, they don't mix. Water turns solid ground into a soupy mess, making excavation a muddy, frustrating, and potentially dangerous endeavor. That's why dewatering is crucial. And I'm not talking about scooping out puddles with a bucket, folks. I'm talking about serious pumping power, the kind that can suck a small pond dry in a matter of hours. Now most folks, they'll rent a standard pump and call it a day. But let me tell you, those things clog faster than a teenager's Instagram feed. One rock, one piece of debris, and it's game over. That's why the pros, we use what's called a trash pump. This ain't your grandma's sump pump, folks. This thing can handle mud, rocks, even small critters without breaking a sweat. Alright folks, let's talk about something deadly serious, trench safety. See, trenches, they may look innocent, but they can turn deadly in a heartbeat. One minute you're digging, the next you're buried alive. It happens more often than you think, and it's not pretty. Now, OSHA's got all sorts of rules and regulations about trench safety, and for good reason. But let me tell you, those rules are just the bare minimum. If you want to stay safe in a trench, you gotta be proactive. You gotta think ahead, and you gotta be prepared for the worst. First off, shoring. Think of it like scaffolding for your trench walls. It ain't cheap, but it's a whole lot cheaper than a funeral. And don't even think about skimping on the materials. Use the right lumber, the right bracing, and make sure it's installed by someone who knows what they're doing. Next, access and egress. You need a way to get in and out of that trench quickly and safely, especially if something goes wrong. That means a ladder or stairs every 25 feet, and they better be sturdy. So you've dug your excavation, you've shored your trenches, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. But hold on, cowboy, there's one more hurdle to clear: the inspection. See, those inspectors, they're like hawks. They're looking for any little thing to write you up for. Now, I'm not saying they're out to get you, but they've got a job to do, and that job is to make sure your work is up to code. And let me tell you, they've seen it all, from shoddy shoring to trenches that look like they were dug with a spoon. So, how do you ace that inspection? Well, it's all about attention to detail, my friend. Make sure your paperwork is in order, your permits are displayed, and your site is clean and organized. And when the inspector shows up, be respectful, answer their questions honestly, and don't be afraid to point out the good stuff. Now, here's a little secret they don't teach you in inspector school. Bring a clean white towel with you. When the inspector's not looking, give those trench walls a good wipe down. If that towel comes back dirty, you know you've got some work to do. Alright folks, let's talk about something near and dear to every contractor's heart: money. Specifically, how to save money on your excavation projects. See, most folks, they treat excavated soil like it's garbage, something to be hauled away and dumped at a landfill. But let me tell you, that's like throwing away gold nuggets. Excavated soil, it's a valuable resource, my friend. It can be used for backfill, grading, even landscaping. And in some cases, you can even sell it for a profit. That's right, I said sell it. Now, I'm not saying every shovelful of dirt is a gold mine, but with a little planning and ingenuity, you can turn that excavated soil into a valuable asset. Start by separating the different types of soil. You've got your topsoil, your subsoil, your clay, your sand. Each has its own unique properties and uses. Once you've got your soil sorted, it's time to get creative. Need to fill in a low spot? Use that subsoil. Building a berm? Clay's your friend. Got a customer who wants a lush lawn? That topsoil's worth its weight in gold. Boom! You just got 10 years of excavation experience crammed into 10 minutes. But here's the painful truth. 95% of viewers won't apply this knowledge. Will you be in the 5% who do? Prove it! Drop a comment with #ExcavationPro if you learned something new. And if you want the forbidden OSHA secrets they tried to bury, smash subscribe and hit that notification bell, because next week's video might just save your life.